Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content I'm putting up, be sure to subscribe so you always know when a new video pops up. Now that we got that part out of the way, let's get into the video. Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with thousands of hours of content. What I'm going to do here is break down some of the major plot points for those of you who want to know more about Eorzea, but may not have time to experience it all firsthand. This time, we're covering the third part of the Sorrow of Werlyt storyline. Back at the camp, one of the soldiers lets you know that Cid and the others have found some useful intel at the Imperial facility in Turncliffe, and he wants you to meet Gaius in town so he can reveal what he found to both of you at once, because he hates repeating himself. Once you're all assembled, Cid gives you the short version of what he found. The place beneath the city wasn't just for storing the weapons, but it was important for building them too. They found the code names for 3 of the weapons down there too: Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, 2 of which you've dealt with. But the Emerald weapon is something you know nothing about, and no one in town has seen anything resembling one of the weapons being moved by land or air, so you know that it does have sea travel capabilities like the Sapphire weapon. That means that it could go anywhere, but Gaius deduces that if Alphonse wants the weapon to absorb a primal, it has to be somewhere in Eorzea, and being able to move through the water lets it bypass all of the soldiers at Gimlet. Fortunately, the weapon wasn't finished when it left Turncliffe, so it'll probably be sent to another facility to be finished before it gets to murdering stuff. Gaius knows of only 2 possible locations: Castrum Marinum in the Rotano Sea and Castrum Occidens in eastern Lenotia. Both are places occupied by the remnants of the 14th Legion, Gaius' former comrades. Regardless, they are enemies now, and Gaius sends Valence and Severa to check out Castrum Occidens while you and Gaius head to Marinum. Severa wants you to blow it apart with the G-Warrior, but it's still being repaired after the fight with the Sapphire weapon, so it's a no-go for using it this time around. But Cid does have a submarine that you and Gaius can use to get to Castrum Marinum. Not wasting any time, you all set off, and I'm sure you already know which group's going to find the Emerald weapon. When you arrive at Castrum Marinum, the Emerald weapon is there and Rex is piloting it. Gaius still hasn't healed from his wounds, so it'll be up to you to fight. The weapon is stronger than the Sapphire one, but you and your allies force Rex to use Oversoul. This time he's overwritten by the combat data of Gaius himself, and the upgraded Oversoul system causes the entire environment to change to a vision of Werlyt when the Legion had taken it. Despite this, you manage to bring the weapon down, and Gaius still can't understand why his son would willingly throw his life away for this, but what's even more shocking is the fact that they were able to replicate his battle tactics perfectly. During your battle, Gaius intercepted a transmission that let all of the troops that had been stationed at Marinum head back to the Empire. Apparently they knew you'd be getting back there sooner or later, so they had escaped before you could deal with them, meaning there's no one there to interrupt Cid's studies of the Emerald weapon. Cid, Valence, and Severa arrive, and Cid's first genius observation is that each weapon has been getting stronger than the last, and if we don't stop them, there's no telling how strong the next one will be. Thank you, we couldn't have figured that out without you. Castrum Occidens didn't have anything there that even resembled a weapon, so at least that's something. Gaius is sad over the loss of another son, and Cid vows to do everything that he can to stop anyone else from sharing his fate, starting with having his people search the entire facility. But first, Severa and Valence go to see if there are any traps left behind by the Empire. While they do that, the Echo, or what I'm going to start calling Plot Device 2.0, shows you what happened in the Castrum before you arrived. Allie, Rex, and Alphonse were talking in front of the Emerald weapon, and Allie was outraged by the fact that everyone knew about Oversoul except for her. They know that they can't beat you, Gaius, and the Alliance without it, and if they can't get past you, they won't be able to deal with the primals and get the weapons to their full power. And if Allie had known what Oversoul did to the pilots, Rex believes that she would have tried to stop them, which she would have, because she can't understand why they are willing to die for this project. When Gaius left the Empire, the Garleans lost all respect for Alphonse and the others, but none of them were as cruel as Valence. He uses the conscripts as test subjects for all of his experiments, but Alphonse plans on using the weapons from the project to create a world where people won't be persecuted by people like Valence. And they are willing to die to make sure Allie lives to see it. While the years of serving the Empire had changed the rest of them, Allie never stopped being the kind girl she'd always been, despite everything that's been done to her. And with the soldiers gone from the Castrum, Alphonse sees a perfect opportunity to get her away from the Legion. She wants her brothers to come with her, but if they leave, Valence will force some of the children he has around him to take their place, and they refuse to trade their own safety for their lives. As long as they can free Werlyt from the Empire, the brothers are willing to die. She doesn't want to leave them, but Alphonse orders Rex to lock her in the holding cells. Once she's taken away, Rex confirms that no matter what, the plan is to hand the castrum over to Gaius so he can take Allie before the Garleans return. But before he leaves, Alphonse begs Rex to not use Oversoul. He doesn't want to lose another brother, but they need the data to perfect the synthetic aurosite system, and Rex is okay with dying as long as Alphonse makes sure to use the data to finish their mission. Your vision ends right when Severa and Valence show back up after finding Allie locked in a cell. Seeing the ruined emerald weapon causes the girl to break down crying, knowing that her brother died inside of it, and Sid decides to bring her back to Turncliffe when his team extracts the core from the weapon. Back in Turncliffe, Severa lets Gaius know that Allie is getting better, but she's still in shock, and her back is covered in welts and bruises, something that probably came from her Garlean masters, something that Severa has personal experience with. She had been born in Werlyt from a Garlean father and a local woman. His rank gave her imperial citizenship, which made her and her mother get shunned by the people of Werlyt and the Garleans alike, because unlike the rest of them, she was only a half-blood. She decided to join the army to try to get a little better treatment for her and her mother. It did not work out how she thought. Her superiors were hard on her, blaming her mistakes on her savage blood, and they beat her constantly. She ended up being assigned to the 12th Legion under Xenos, and when he lost in Alamigo, she took the opportunity to return to Werlyt. When she made it back home, she found her mother dead. She had always been sick, and when Severa had been sent off, the Garleans stopped giving her the medicine she needed. They claimed it was a waste giving it to a savage, and she didn't last long without it. With no family, and the likelihood that she'd be executed for desertion if the Garleans found out why she was there, she fled, until she eventually joined Gaius. He hadn't known any of this, and he hadn't known that there were brutal men like that in the Empire. He had always thought it was the duty of the strong to take care of the weak, and he can't stand people who abuse their power to hurt those that they should be protecting. Knowing what he knows now, he believes that the entire Empire is corrupt and needs to be cleansed. The way they treated Severa, someone with Garlean blood, is nothing compared to how they treat the Aura. They decide to go and check on Allie to see if her condition has improved enough for her to talk, which she is better, and Gaius begs her to tell him what happened to her and the others when he left that led them to where they are now. When he vanished, the kids were all assigned to the 7th Legion where Valence eventually took over. He was a Magitech weapons specialist set to run anti-primal weapon projects. And once the Emperor died, he started using all types of horrible methods to complete the project. Rumor has it, he plans on using the weapons to take over the Empire, but Allie thinks there's another reason Valence is obsessed with the weapon project. He's jealous of Gaius. Valence had been on the list of people set to lead the 14th Legion, but Gaius got the job, and Valence was set to work under Nero on the Ultima weapon. Since then, Valence has despised everything Gaius has done and believes in. Since Gaius respected all races under his command, Valence only respects pure-blooded Garleans. Everyone else is expendable. When Gaius asks, Allie confirms that Valence is the one who beat her. He tortures her and the others constantly. Every day with him is miserable, but if they left, he'd only torture someone else, which is why they stayed. If things go as planned, when the weapon project is done, since they're the pilots, they can use them on Valence and the Empire. Hearing that his children are fighting for a world that they may not live to see makes Gaius proud, but he doesn't approve of them killing themselves for it, which is why they didn't ask him for help. They know how strong the weapons are, and despite having had access to the ruby, sapphire, and emerald weapons, none of them can compare to Valence's ultimate creation, and that was the one Allie wanted to get her hands on to save her brother. Since she can't, she begs you and Gaius to save him, although she claims not to know where he even is, although that does seem to be a lie. All of the talking takes a toll on Allie, and she's taken away to rest while Gaius sends you to report to the troops in Garabania. Meanwhile, at the 7th Legion's headquarters, Valence is not happy that Alphonse lost the emerald weapon and allowed Allie to escape. He has the man being tortured, but he's not doing it himself. He has children doing it. When Alphonse collapses, Valence decides to make him the pilot of the next weapon with one goal: kill Gaius. And he will kill every non-Garlean in the Legion if Alphonse betrays him. Of course he won't be able to, since they'll force him to use Oversoul and have his mind rewritten by the combat data of Xenos. As if Valence would be able to control Xenos in any form. Even Elidibus hadn't been able to do that when he had manifested a version of the Psycho to fight you. The Oversoul system for the final weapon is still not functioning the way he wants, but fortunately for him, Valence has plenty of test subjects to go through until the diamond weapon finally works the way it's supposed to. This concludes the third part of the Sorrow of Werlyt storyline. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video.